Hello guys, myself Nilay Mehta and I am going to teach you ASP.NET Web API 2 throughout this series. Welcome to the first session. In this session we will learn what is Web API and what is a RESTful service, as well as see the difference between the WCF and the Web API and when to use Web API or WCF. What is API? The term API stands for Application Programmable Interface. ASP.NET Web API is a framework that used for building the HTTP service that can be accessed from the any client, including the browser, mobile device. Web API is the ideal platform for building the RESTful application on the .NET framework. ASP.NET Web API is widely used for creating the RESTful services. However, it can be also used for creating the services which are not RESTful. If you are familiar with the ASP.NET MVC web application, then it's very easy for you to learn the ASP.NET Web API, because ASP.NET Web API works more or less same way as the ASP.NET MVC application. Expect that it sends the data as a response instead of the view. ASP.NET Web API map the HTTP verb to the method such as get, post, put, and delete. We will learn more about those verbs in the next session. ASP.NET Web API framework includes the new HTTP client for communicating with the Web API server. HTTP client can be used in ASP MVC server side, Windows Form application, console application, or the other type of application. This is the architecture of the Web API. We are using the IIS to host our application. Each request is passed through the ASP.NET pipeline to routing to the HTTP server, which will receive the message and dispatch it to the controller, which will pass to our user-defined controller. In this case, it was the item controller, which contain the several method for the different type of HTTP verb. For example, get item, post item, put item, or the delete item. What are RESTful services? The term REST stands for Representational State Transfer. RESTful web services are one way to RESTful web services are one way to providing the interoperability between the communication system on the internet. RESTful services are using the HTTP, which is the most commonly used protocol, which provide the predefined HTTP verbs such as get, post, put, delete, and so on for performing the operation. In a RESTful web service is requested made to the resource via the URI, which will elect the response that may be in HTML, XML, or JSON, or the some other predefined format. Let's see the difference between the Web API and the WCF. Both of them are designed for providing the services, and both are developed by the Microsoft. Let's see why there are two different ways that exist for providing the same things. What is the difference between both of them? Web API supports only HTTP protocol, while the WCF supports the HTTP, TCP, UDP, and the other custom transport protocol too. Web API map the HTTP verb to the method, where WCF use the attribute-based programming model. Web API does not support the reliable message, where WCF support the reliable messaging and the transaction. ASP.NET use the routing and controlling concept similar to the ASP.NET MVC, where WCF use the service operation and the data contracts. Web API can configure using the HTTP configuration class. In the WCF, we need to use the web.config file and attributes for that. When to use the WCF? WCF is the most commonly used to create a service that transport WCF most commonly used to create a service that are transport or protocol level independent. For example, if you are building a service that accessed by the various clients, let's take the Java client who require the HTTP as a transport mode, and the .NET client who require the TCP protocol as a transport mode. If you are using the .NET Framework 3.5 or lower, then you need to use the WCF because of the ASP.NET Web API does not support the .NET Framework 3.5 or lower. When to use the Web API? If you are building the service that support only HTTP protocol, you want to build the RESTful services based on the HTTP. And if you are familiar with the ASP.NET MVC, for that scenario, Web API is the right choice over the WCF. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any doubt, then please post in a question answer section or place a comment. Have a nice day.